I started seeing a difference in me and wanting to change, listening to you. And I believe what really took to heart was that you were male. You weren't a female trying to transform the world. It was a father figure.
Welcome to Quadrants of Mental Health. I am your host, Dr. AJ, affectionately known as Dr. AJ Johnson, but you can just call me AJ. I'm good with that. I'm excited to have a special guest with me. Her name is Miss Liller Freeman. Liller has been a participant in our parenting class for about a year now. The class is only 90 days, 3 months, but she's been there for about a year. I'm not saying she hits every class now, but in the beginning, she was there. So I wanted to interview her because she does a segment on Facebook called Therapy Plus Me. And we recently hired her as a family support partner. And she's doing a lot of things in the community here in Richmond, Virginia. So I just want you to meet her, and we're going to get started. So how are you doing today?
Ooh, nervous.
Nervous. It's just me. You know, you talk to me every week, so it's just you and I. Look, I asked you earlier, and I wanted to make sure I asked you again. How did we meet? How did you come to know me?
Well, actually, one particular day, and it was weird because I never listened to the radio. I always had my Bluetooth in. I'm always listening to some type of gospel music or motivational speaking.
Okay.
So the radio came on, and I heard Clovia, and me and Clovia had, met once or twice. So when I heard a little voice, I'm like, okay, let me tune in, let me turn up a little bit on the club, I'm gonna listen. And I heard you talking, and y'all was talking about parenting classes and how important it is, to break some generational curses and toxicity in parenting and things of that nature. And I heard you say, well, it's free. So if they don't want to get help for free, it's nothing really that, more than we can do. And I said, free. And you said, well, it's only an hour. So the kids had got in the car by then, and I didn't hear anything else, because of the background noise. So I actually called Clovia because I had her personal phone number.
Oh, okay.
And I called and I said, hey, I heard you talking to this young man yesterday, Mr. AJ, about parenting classes. Like, how can I do that? And she literally sent me everything that I needed to know about, where to find you, how to join in on the classes. And it just took off from there. And I think within 2 to 3 weeks, I started seeing a difference in me and wanting to change, listening to you. And I believe what really took to heart was that you were male. You weren't a female trying to transform the world. It was a father figure.
Right.
And hearing you nurture and encourage others, not just men, but women as well, into being better parents. Because I really didn't have that growing up. I had male figures, but I didn't have that nurturing, that soft voice, that tone. And to actually hear a man say, it doesn't take you to be dominant. It doesn't take you to make your family fearful. Because I was raised in a household that was basically, you do what I say. Fear-based. So to hear you say all these things, I'm like, you talking about Mr. Willis? Come on, Mr. AJ now. Now, what you mean a black man in the house and he ain't whipping nobody? He not, he ain't yelling and ain't nobody getting no punishment. He's getting stood in corners. So it intrigued me. And I wanted to hear more. And I remember you saying, oh, you guys can call me. So I started testing you. Yeah. And I started calling and texting you and asking you all these questions like about my grandson in particular. Well, let me fall back a little bit. I knew something was off with me, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I'm raising my 2 grandchildren.
Right.
And when I got them, I had a lot of animosity towards it because I had just came home from prison. I had just gotten my own life together. I was going through a very difficult relationship, and I literally had just moved into my very own apartment for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
And that was in June of 2015. And in September 2015, I get this dramatic phone call that my daughter was having a rough time and a decision had to be made, and I didn't have time to really think about it.
Right.
I just had to act and act quickly. So fast forwarding so from 2015 to 2020, I knew something was wrong. Something was wrong, and it wasn't them. Something was wrong with me.
Right.
Because I could see that other people would come in the house and they would give them hugs.
Oh.
They would greet them.
Right.
They would talk to them.
Right.
But when it came to me, it was like,
shut down.
Hey, Mom, and keep on walking.
Right.
Like, where you going? I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
I'm the one here that's, providing clothes and feeding people and stuff. And when you see my mom, or even when they had my significant other, they would just run to him and give him hugs and kisses. And I'm like, what am I, chopped liver? What's going on around here?
Right.
And I actually heard the Holy Spirit say, you need help. You need help. And that's when I heard you. And
see, that's God for you, because you said you don't normally listen to the radio.
I don't. I really don't.
God.
That was nothing but God, because it was things that you were saying about, like I said, fear-based, with the whole toxicity of telling the child what to do and not giving them the ability to have choices.
Right.
Because we were raised in a house where you eat what I put in front of you. You don't get to tell me, what I'm going to cook and all of this other stuff like that.
My house, my rules.
Exactly. And my most difficult, trying child in the house was my little Phil, my grandson.
Yeah.
And me and this kid, we bumped heads from day one.
From day one.
From day one. From the moment I got him.
Right.
He was a handful.
He wanted to be with his mother.
He did. And I couldn't see that.
Yeah.
I thought that a 1-year-old was supposed to be appreciative of me taking him in.
Oh, really?
I did.
Oh,
I really did. I expected this kid to be overjoyed.
Overjoyed.
That his grandmother came in with a cake and saved the day. And this little boy he wouldn't even talk to me.
No.
My father's a psychiatrist, so I had to call my dad and ask him, like, what do I do? Like, this child won't even speak to me. Like, he would just stand there and make sounds. He would talk to everybody else. But he wouldn't talk to me.
Right.
And so at first I had to, like, teach him sign language. I literally had to teach him sign language the first year of his life, because he wouldn't talk to me.
Oh, wow.
I had to find a way for him to talk to me.
He talk to other people?
Mm-hmm. He would talk to my mother. He would talk to his mother.
You was teaching him sign language.
I had to get him to teach him. Did he maybe even have a conversation with me? I'm like, at least say thank you. At least say something. Don't just look at me and not.
Right.
And he would not. My mom would come in the house. Grandma, Papa, whatever. He would full conversation. I didn't. I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't. Could not see it for the save the life of me. And I think the Holy Spirit, the Father, would give me bits and pieces of his pain. One day I walked into the bedroom, just way before you came into the picture, and this baby was just sitting on the side of the bed like he was just broken and lost. And I'm like, dang, dude, is it that bad? Is it that serious? You only 2. Like, what's wrong?
He missed his mom. He
was devastated. And, and he was just he really had that middle child thing bad. He did, because his little sister had, at the time, she had crystal clear pool water blue eyes.
Oh, wow.
And his older sister had this head of hair that's like a lion's mane. It is thick, it's gorgeous, and it's huge. So
you don't have her, though.
I don't have her, but when she's around, you get the whole, this one and this one, but he never got anything. He never got anything.
Wow.
And that's basically how I treated them. I made sure they were fed. I made sure they had the best clothes.
Food, water,
they had the games. They had toys. Yeah. They had the best room, hair done. They was clean and educated.
So what was your impression of the class when you started the class? Did you start right away?
I started the first time I heard you on the radio. I jumped right in. I jumped right in with both feet. And I had a lot of problems with what you said, though. I ain't gonna lie. I remember calling you one day and had asked you, had you lost your whole mind? Because I was like, nah, I got to call this man because I know he tripping. You had said something along the lines of, when a child lies, that means that they don't trust you. Because my baby was lying to me at the time. He just kept lying about every little thing. I mean, think that nothing that made sense. He would just be lying.
Don't trust at all.
And I'm like, AJ, what's good? What's going on with this kid? He was like, he don't trust you. Like, he don't trust me. He was like, you got to figure out, and this is what I want you to say. When you lie, it hurts me because it makes me feel like you don't trust me. And you told me, don't address the lie.
Right.
Don't say anything about it and walk away.
Right.
Don't bring it up.
Right.
And I'm like, this man got to be nuts.
I remember those
conversations. Yes. And I'm like, he got to be crazy. Right. But I tried it. I tried it. And over the year, he stopped lying. He has. Like,
can you repeat that?
Over the year. It took a long time.
Consistency and predictability from you, though.
It did.
So I like to look at both sides.
I didn't chastise him.
Right.
I didn't spank him. I didn't do any of the things. I refrained. I'm trying my best to stop raising my voice. I don't like to say yelling because I did. I used to yell all the time.
Right.
Constantly. That was because my way of communicating, because I feel like if you can't hear me, if I'm telling you to do something, then you can't hear me. No. So if I yell at you, maybe you'll hear me.
Right.
And they would move, but it made them like just be just real standoffish. Yeah. Yeah. So, but since the classes though, all of our relationships have drastically changed, except the little girl now, she's stubborn. You know, she's getting really girly, and now everything with her, she wants to flip the hair, and she wants this.
So what was your impression of when I said behaviors is a language? We're talking about a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago versus now. So
and were you challenged by that?
Very much so. Because first I had to look at where was it coming from, and another thing you gave me was the 5 love languages of a child.
Right.
So then I had to check if the love tank was empty.
Right.
So now also what I started doing with the behavior thing, when they act out, the AJ trick, I take them out.
Spend time.
I spend time with them.
Yeah.
So when they start acting out, and I'm like, nope, I don't even want to talk about it. The teacher called me and said, well, he did this, he did that. Instead of me saying to him, oh, you disappointed your teacher, you let her down, I go pick him up. I take him to let him pick out whatever he wants for dinner. I sit down, we cook the dinner. He sits in the kitchen with me. We talk about it, and I hit him with all of my AJ things. So what can I do to help you? Okay. What can I do to help you fix this? You know that you hurt your teacher's feelings. So what are we going to do to change this so this never happens again?
Right.
And
good question.
Yep. And it works for him.
You're getting a different result now.
Yeah, I am.
You know, now how hard was it for you? Because we were raised a certain way, a certain level of discipline, and, with parenting. Your mother was engaged.
It was hard. It was very hard.
So the transition for you, because everybody like to talk about the children, how good they are now, but I like to talk about the balance side of the struggle that you went through to try, fail, adjust. You didn't do it perfectly every time, did you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
No. But for me, it was, I get the same analogy that I do when I was getting clean. It literally felt like taking a rusty razor blade and cutting the skin off of my face. That's how hard it was. Because I was so accustomed to doing things a certain way that, my first instinct is to pop you. If I tell you not to do something, or if I tell you, get over here, I'll snatch you by your arm, and didn't I tell you don't walk that far away from me? And now it felt weird because I had to check me. Right. And I've noticed that most of the behaviors was piggybacking off of me. So if I started changing, they started changing.
It's reflective. And like I said too, stress, when we are stressed, we see threat.
Yep.
When a parent is stressed, they see threat. That means your child is making you feel uncomfortable. And what do we do with threat? We have to eliminate.
Move them out the way.
We're going to check this. Oh, no, you're not going to do this to me.
Exactly. And that felt weird. And I think one of the biggest ones that, on my therapy plus me equals set free was when my son challenged me, the 13-year-old.
Okay.
And he bucked up at me. And
how did you handle that?
I froze.
First time he ever did that?
I froze. It was the first time that he literally, because now, when he was little, he's diagnosed with autism. He has ADHD, and we have him on no medication. Okay. And when he was little, he used to, come at me. But that was before all of the behavior therapists and all that came in the ABA. Okay. But he has been out of ABA now for 2 years. And I've only been with you for a year.
What is ABA for those of us who
I forgot actually. What does it stand for?
Okay, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either.
Someone knows, put it in the comments
right.
section.
But it's something with autism and behavior therapy.
Yes.
I know that much.
Okay.
Okay, and they come in and they help you
yes.
teach your child, teach you how to help your child.
Now, is that done through UMFS? Did you go through them? Because I know they had a program like that at one time.
I can't say I went through them, but I forgot the name of it. But it's right off of Midlothian Turnpike.
Okay, well, UMFS is on Broad Street, so it's not the same company. Yeah.
And anywho, so the little kid, he jumps up at me. He like straight.
Little, he's 13.
Yes, I'm sorry.
He's probably taller than you. I'm
thinking he is. He's like 5'6" and 175 pounds.
I used to say he's probably taller.
And it took me for a loop. And I'm like, yo. And in my mind, I heard a whole conversation go. I heard a whole conversation play out in my mind of whip, just punch him in the throat.
Oh, yeah.
Bust him down real quick. And I'm looking at his, and I done scanned his whole body. And that's quick second. I was like, okay, which one of these body parts I'm about to pop?
You had did all of that.
But I hear my little inner AJ saying, walk away.
Okay.
Nothing is a priority.
Fight, no
nothing. And just walk away.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you time. And I'm going to go ahead and take me some time.
Right.
And I'm going to go walk away. And I did what you taught me to do. I went and I sat back down in my room for at least 30 minutes. I told the other two to go play with their tablet. They had just finished their homework. And I said, so where did this come from?
Okay.
What
happened?
I want you
to pause that because we're going to come right back. Okay. We're going to take a slight break and we'll be back with Miss Liller Freeman.
Have a story to tell? Let Quadrant Podcast Studios help you bring your vision to life. That's quad-pod.com.
Welcome back to Quadrants of Mental Health. I have as my special guest Miss Liller Freeman, and she was telling us a story about her 13-year-old son and how she de-escalated a situation with him. So,
well, like I was saying, I had to go figure out. I'm in the bedroom, and I had to figure out where did this come from, and I had to replay what just happened, and it was me. It wasn't him.
When you say where did it come from, what was the trigger?
What made him jump up at me.
Okay.
And we were in the car, and I have a thing with time. I hate to be late, and I hate to be dragging and lagging. So when I parked the car, my specific instructions to all three children were, put your coat on before you get out the car. And when I parked the car, I looked over, and he's just getting out of the car, and I've been sitting there for like maybe a whole minute. Because I'm packing up my pocketbook, make sure I got the keys, my cell phone, and everything. And I look over and I'm like, why don't you have your coat on? Didn't I tell you to put your coat on? And I just go ham sandwich to the left to him, fussing at him about the coat, not having the coat on. And he says, you know what? And he slings my car door open. And mind you, there's a whole group of kids that are outside, their parents outside, and he starts showing off. To me, it's showing off. Yeah. To me, I took it as showing off.
Right.
And he's throwing a whole fit about putting this coat on. And he's throwing the book bag and doing all this stuff.
Was it about putting the coat on or about the way you talked to him?
It was more so, let me get to that, because it's amazing how he communicated that to me. And I felt bad and I had to apologize. So we're going back and forth, and he's fussing and he's slinging his body. Mind you, he's not really saying anything. If you know anything about kids with autism, they grunt a lot.
Yeah. So
he's making all these sounds and he's stomping his feet and he's throwing stuff. And when we finally get up steps, my whole thing was, you embarrassed me in front of the whole community, in front of everybody outside, and I can't believe this, and I can't believe that you did that. And he turns around and he's, stop yelling at me! And he bucks up in my face. And then I'm sitting in my room, and I finally realized what happened, and I realized it's me.
Right.
It was my fault. Right. Because I didn't have to yell at him.
Now, how many parents would be honest about that?
I don't know many.
To be honest and say, oh my God, I triggered my child.
I did. And I escalated that whole thing because I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of the community. And then I thought about it. I'm like, this guy, like you said, he's almost 5'7". He weighs close to 180 pounds. Ooh. And I expect him to maneuver in the front seat of a car around a seatbelt to put on a coat to appease me so I can have that 5 seconds for him to get out the car on time.
Wow.
And when I went to him and I talked to him about it, like I said, and I'm talking to him, I'm explaining to him, I hurt his feelings and I'm sorry. He said, but I'm too big, Mom. I can't. And you yell at me and I'm too big to do that in the car.
Right.
And I felt like this.
Right.
I felt like a heel for totally screaming at him. And I'm telling him he's embarrassing me.
Right.
Not realizing that I totally embarrassed him in front of all of his peers outside. When I tell you to do something, you do it. When I speak, you move.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I went there.
Oh, wow.
I went there, but see, I'm the type of person with the same energy that I put it out there, I'm going to make sure that I make it right.
Right.
So, I made sure and I apologized. So that was big for us. That was a very big moment.
For you.
But the response that I got on social media is what really hurt me. Because I put it in my Therapy Plus Me for free.
I remember that.
And I had some people inboxed me.
And say
They
what?
pulled a silly on me. They pulled a
say?
silly. They said beat him.
What?
I had quite a few people, and it was not just one or two. It was quite a few people
They
that
think you
inboxed
should have
me.
beat your son
They thought
when you recognized
felt-
that you were wrong and you triggered him.
Yep.
But their
They
solution would be to
thought
be.
that
Help me to understand the rationale.
They thought that it was a establishment of dominance. That I had to let him know who the head Negro was.
Oh, really?
And that's when I came to
That's
realize
interesting.
that there's no such thing as an alpha. I don't care what nobody says. For me, I can't get with that whole alpha mentality. Because
Well, let me ask you this, since you mentioned alpha, were you talking about women or men telling you to beat it?
both.
Really?
Both.
I don't see where that situation warranted that at all. Especially when you
Because he
recognize-
challenged. It's in their mind,
but
and
you
even with me,
recognize you triggered.
they didn't. Nobody, every single person that was, I would honestly say, over 40, that inboxed me. All the 30-year-olds was like, "Oh, you did a good job, mom. Good thing, good going." But everybody that was over 40 was like, "Oh no, boo, you gotta bust him down."
But that was a teachable moment for everybody in that, we're human. We make mistakes, and you were concerned about being embarrassed, and he was concerned about being embarrassed himself. So it was a life lesson. To me, what you did, it showed honor to the relationship. It showed value to the relationship. The other way of showing dominance, what do you say what does that say to the relationship? What does that speak to his heart and his soul and who he is as a person, who you want him to be as a human being?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? To beat him, to me, that doesn't make sense. Parents, if you're doing that kind of stuff, call me. We probably need to talk. Take my class.
Yeah, you probably need to talk to a couple people that was on that line. That's right.
Something is not right with that. I mean, I'm surprised that you got that response.
I did, and there was quite a few. My male associates were more so like, you need to establish because he's bigger than you, so you have to let him know who's control.
But you did show him you were in control by the way you responded to him. See, there's a difference between a reaction and a response. Your response to him and you honoring the relationship taught him to do what? Honor the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you challenge him and he always, my thing is this: if you argue with a child, in their mind, you become their equal. So why would you want to show your son that that he's equal to you?
Right.
When you're the one supposed to be the example and teaching and modeling all of the values and standards that he needs to learn.
Right.
He learned more from you the way you handled it than he would have if you had
fought him. Yeah.
Or fought your son over a coat.
Over not putting on your coat fast
enough.
If
I was a judge or a police officer or something like that, and you know what, believe it or not, the courts would have agreed with you. There are a lot of people systemically would say, yes, mom, you need to do that because he's a male. No.
And that's a lot of what I got. That because he's so big, because he's gonna want to. Yep.
He will gain a greater respect for you the way you handle him than the way you would have handled him. Because I've known mothers to be body slammed by their 16-year-old sons because of the way they went at him. Kids can only take but so much.
Right.
And they love you, but at some point in time, they are going to snap. If you're always in the face, because this mother used to grab her son by the collar and pull him around and smack him in the face. It's like, okay, that's not good parenting.
Right.
Under what theory is that good parenting?
Mm.
That's not love-based parenting. That's fear-based parenting. You want to put fear in your child, or you want them to love you? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So we were talking about the Therapy Plus Me. This is your journey.
Yes.
Of processing and dealing with a lot of the material I've talked about and the conversations you've had, and then I want to say thank you also because you have referred a lot of people to my class.
Yeah.
And a lot of people to talk to me individually. And I tell people, if you take the class, I'll talk to you for free.
Right.
But if you want to pay me, hey, call me. We can book a session. That's not a problem. But I like them when they take the class because at least they have a foundation already laid and we can start where they are versus me having to lay that foundation with them. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thank you for I always say the greatest compliment ever given is the referral of a friend. So the
Yes.
fact that you refer people, that's the greatest compliment that I can get. But what made you decide to do Therapy Plus Me?
Because I started seeing behaviors that was instilled in me and a lot of toxicity. So stemming from the little situation with Michael, it made me reflect back to something that happened with my own mother. Around that age, I was 12, and we had that whole "you're gonna respect me" fight.
Oh, wow.
And me and my mom that was our very first fight of many, first physical fight of
Okay,
many.
I was going to say you literally
we
fought,
physically fought.
and she thought that was a good idea.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
just like those other parents thought that was a
Yes.
good idea.
And when I saw, I'm not laughing at my mom. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But when she saw the post, she was livid with me. She was like, "If you don't take that down, I don't even remember when that happened. How don't you do that? Don't you be embarrassing me out here in Facebook world?"
Right.
So, her and I had to talk about it, and she's been, following my journey as well. And I love the fact that how my mom came to me and she said, if anything that I did to you in your childhood really affected you to that extent, I am so sorry.
Wow.
And she apologized.
But, I remember you telling me a story, too, about you graduating from high school.
Me?
You.
I didn't graduate.
You said you did because of your mom.
Oh, yeah. I did it on purpose.
You did it on purpose?
I intentionally did not graduate high school
Because
and went and
she
got my
wanted you
GED because it meant so much to her.
That you graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that tells you the toxicity within that
Yep.
relationship.
Yeah.
You intentionally got a GED because she wanted it.
Yep.
That's
was, yeah.
But that's the end result of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Defiance.
Yeah. Anything I
people
could
don't get
to
that.
get back.
Anything.
Yeah.
Because I had a client one time. He said, "My mission is to make her feel my pain."
Yeah.
Or any opportunity he could make her hurt, because he didn't want to physically fight her, even though she was doing things to him. So I know we have a few more minutes left.
Right.
I want you to tell me one more thing about the Therapy Plus Me.
Little Phil.
Little Phil, and you were pushing him to get ready to
Yes.
go to school. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Why do you drag your feet? What's going on?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
tell that story.
I was fussing at him one morning, and I was fussing bad, like, "Oh my God, you making me late." Blah, 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 blah. And
they know you hate to be late.
They
too.
know they know I'm anal about
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So like I said, we had just got through class that I think it was like maybe that Monday, so it's like Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're going through this, and he goes to speak, and you can literally see him go, "Never mind." And I'm like, "What? I always have time for you. Talk to me. What's going on?" And he sat down and he actually had a conversation with me about how he ate slow because he missed his mom. One particular time we were in North Carolina and we were visiting with his mother and they were eating breakfast together. And he was intentionally eating slow so he could spend more time with his mom. I don't remember what I said to him that day, but I could believe that I was ranting and raving about, we gotta get on the road, I gotta get back home, I gotta get ready for work.
That broke some stuff up in you.
But it did. It broke my heart that this was the reason that child would intentionally eat slow so that he could spend as much time with his mother that he could.
So he was missing his mom.
Yes.
You were saying, come on, let's go, go. Don't be late.
Didn't even consider the fact that he's just trying to hold on to whatever little, moments that he had left with his mom.
Exactly. And especially when you don't get to spend that time with her.
Right.
For whatever reason it is that she may think it's justifiable now, when those kids get older, she's gonna have to do some apologizing too.
Right.
I know that. I see that coming. Hopefully she'll be big enough to do it, because you even offered for her to take the class.
Yes, I offered for my whole family. I even
How many out of your family actually have done it?
None.
All the ones you talk to in your family said, take this class, take
Nope.
this class.
Not one.
Why do you think that is?
Because it'll have to. My personal belief is it'll be a reflection. They'll have to look at themselves.
Yeah.
It won't
It's
be
good
so
to
much
look in
about
the
the
mirror.
kid. It won't be so much about the kid. And I even tell people that don't have kids, take this class because it made me a better person.
Right.
Because remember, our first real meltdown was when I went to get a pedicure, and I acted real ugly in the store and had a whole fit with this lady because I don't even know what reason I gave her. She was just, I walked off and stormed off, and the Holy Spirit put me in timeout. And I had to go sit in a chair in the mall. And then he made me go back and apologize to her for the way I stormed out.
Wow.
And I remember calling you that day, and you was like, wow, but all of my behaviors, I've had to look at me, how I treat them, how I talk to them. And now one of my favorite AJ sentences that I say around my house is, can you help me? I don't tell them, get up and go take out the trash.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I'm washing dishes right now. Would you guys mind helping me out and take out the trash? They get right up and do it.
Yeah. Versus, go take that trash out.
Yep. Didn't I tell you 30 minutes ago to take that trash out?
Just
and
that
they get
one
right up, yep.
simple thing makes
That
all the
one thing
difference.
at work. I just do the same thing at work.
Yeah.
Now, hey, you know what? I can't print these off right now. Would you mind helping me?
Wow. So that's the value that I always preach, self-care.
Yep.
And I talk about parents taking care of themselves, because if you don't take care of you, then it's difficult for you to really teach them authentically, you know?
Right.
It's hard because you're not doing the things, you don't have the tools you need for you, you know? And I tell parents, it's not about shaming and blaming. It's not about being a bad parent. It's bad parenting.
Right.
You know, and you can't solve problems in life with the same mindset that created it. You know?
That's for sure.
So if you have a mindset, you have to be willing to renew that mind. And I'll say this in class all the time: what's not transformed,
It's transferred.
that's right. What's not transformed is transferred. So I want to thank you. We have come to the end. I want to definitely have you back again.
Absolutely.
Because
Anytime.
we want to talk more about Therapy Plus Me and the other reactions that you're getting from that program as well, okay? So continue to write, continue to do that. And I want to say thank you. This is AJ with Quadrants of Mental Health. We will see you on the next episode. And please like, share, and subscribe.